everyone, welcome to Bad Yogi Q&A Wednesday with me, Erin Motz, where I answer the questions that you send me via email and social media too. Interior storage, 5x10. That's not a question. Okay. Today's question comes from Jason in Denver. I like when I get questions from guys. He asks, I've always been pretty athletic and I tend to borrow that no pain, no gain philosophy from my sports background. I know yoga is different, but how can I tell if I'm working hard enough? I love this question. I feel like I love all the questions that I get, but this one is super important because I think any of us who come from any other background than yoga, we kind of have this question in our minds like, well, I know yoga is gentle, but I still want to get some benefits from it, so how do I know if I'm actually doing enough to get the benefits that I want? So whether you come from a background that is working out at the gym, lifting weights, doing cardio, any kind of sport, this is a tough balance to strike. So I think there are two main ways that you can figure out whether or not you're actually working up to the level that you should be in order to make progress and reach the goals that you have. The first way to tell if you're working hard enough is during your practice, not surprisingly. Your breath is a great indicator of how hard you're working and whether or not you need to ramp it up or tone it back down. For example, if you're holding chair pose and your legs are getting a little shaky and your breath is becoming a little bit more challenged, not that you're out of breath, but that you're having to focus more on that inhale, focus more on that exhale, that is a sign of working hard in a good way. If you're doing a pose that is causing your breath to become restricted, if you're twisting so deeply that you're having to hold your breath, or your breath sounds very, very labored, then that is most definitely a sign that you are pushing too far. So your breath is a great indicator of whether or not you need to work a little harder or maybe bring it down a notch. Now, when it comes to working harder, how do you know if you're not working hard enough? I think that's a little bit more subjective. So depending on what your goals are, if you're doing something that's meant to make you more flexible, labored breathing, even very challenged breathing is not something that you want to shoot for. So if you're doing a restorative class that you want to actually ground you, that you want to relax you, then a nice, easy pace of breath is what you want to reach for. But if you're in a class that's a little bit more rigorous, you're trying to get your heart rate up and get some kind of more rigorous workout, then a little bit of labor in your breath is a good sign as long as you're not overdoing it. The second way to tell if you're working hard enough is after your practice. And after your practice, I'm going to use a stronger practice as an example in this one. But after a strong practice, the next day, your hips might be a little sore. And when I say your hips, I mean like your butt, or it might feel like you actually did something difficult. So your legs are a bit tight. Maybe your calves are talking to you when you get out of bed in the morning. This is a good sign. This means that you worked really hard and your body is just getting used to this pace and this change. Now, if you get out of bed and you feel completely depleted, if you feel like you ran 2 marathons the day before, if you have a pain that feels like it could be bordering an injury, that's obviously a sign that you might have gone too far. So especially those of you who come from a strong athletic background or you're used to doing CrossFit, you're used to lifting weights, there is that no pain, no gain mentality out there, and in yoga, it just doesn't work. You want to use yoga as a tool to balance your body, to bring yourself into harmony with all of its moving parts. So if you think of yoga as that type of tool, then striking that balance is something that you'll search for instead of going way too far on one end of the spectrum. So just a little bit of a recap. The first thing you can do is monitor your breath during your practice. Is it labored? Is it relatively easy? What's the balance that you're looking for there? The second thing is to monitor how you feel after a practice. Do you feel energized? Do you feel good? A little bit of tiredness is a good thing. Complete exhaustion and like you cannot move for the next 5 days is not a good thing. So it all comes back to balance. Search for that and you will find exactly the right place that you're supposed to be. So there you have it, Q&A Wednesday. I really hope that was helpful. Now make sure you let me know what you think in the comments below, and of course what you want to see next time. Get in the Bad Yogi Club to get all of the latest Q&As, free classes, and much, much more, and I'll see you right back here next time.